All right, young designers, let's talk resources here. Okay, this is a reasonably easy section to present in your design folio, and it's really easy because you can put things in a table format. But before we get into the identification and justification part, let's try and break down the resources into types of resources. Resources are things we use to get the job done. Okay, now the main types of resources we get, I know we've been through this in class: human, physical, and financial resources. All right, so let's break those into three. So if we've got three sections or three little tables, okay, one of those is going to be about physical resources. One of those is going to be about financial resources. That's a mouthful. And one of those is going to be about your human resources. Okay. Now, being able to identify resources is pretty straightforward. It's coming up with a list, all right? So if we're thinking about human resources, well, who and what might they be? Your teachers is one, okay? Your peers probably help you, all right? Other teachers might help you out as well. Forgive my scribbly handwriting, but you need to listen, not watch this anyway, all right? You might have some sort of expert in a particular industry that has helped you out. And, you know, there might be someone like your brother or sister might work in a similar trade or something that helps you out. But the human resources that help you out are up to you, okay? People do help. When it comes to your financial resources, well, there's a few ways where you get your money from, okay? Number one can be from your subject fees, aka from your parents, all right? Other places where you get financial resources might be from some sort of donations, might be for some of your students that got a scholarship and get some funding from the school for being an awesome student. It might be financial resources or money comes from a job that you have, okay? Or there might also be, we've already talked about donations, but people may be able to supply you with or give you something of financial value, whether that is like a Bunnings gift card or something along those lines, but something that replaces money for you. Okay. Now, your physical resources, and this is a good one to talk about because a lot of you want to be in at the workshops right now working on your projects, and that's something that we're not really allowed to do. But your physical resources are things like your computer that everybody uses, your workshop, okay, and other things like your access to tools and equipment. Okay. Now, right now, you're coming up with a bit of a challenge because those resources that are normally here at school for you aren't around. So, access to workshop space, access to where you store a project, access to print materials, access to all these things isn't quite there for you. So, when it comes to justifying how you've acquired or used physical resources, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Now, when you're presenting something in a table format, before you get to putting out your table, you want to start with a little bit of a spiel about how well you understand ideas and resources. Okay, so things like discussing safety and ethics when getting resources. So you know, I know that when we've gone to the wood store room there, we see a lot of nice timber that has property of Cohen Taylor on it, and up the back of the workshop had Amina Durrani's name on it. Okay, now it wouldn't be particularly ethical to use that timber if you know it belongs to someone else. Other ethical considerations you might have might be about where material's been sourced from. Shout out Mr. Mann! He's everywhere, that guy. Anyway, sorry, I had to do the shout out. But yeah, getting back to that, you might want to, and I know my wife does this, and it kind of annoys me a little bit because we go to the shops and she wants to buy things that are always sourced from locally or Australia. It costs us more money, but she feels like it's the right thing to do instead of buying things that come from overseas. So when you're acquiring resources, there's all sorts of environmental, ethical issues you've got to think of, as well as availability. Okay, I know for me, resources right now, it's getting harder and harder for me to actually get the resources I need to build my back deck and pergola because there's more and more restrictions placed on how I can just go down to Bunnings and get stuff. Big things need to be delivered. I can't necessarily jam them into my car. So I now have to look at how I can acquire those resources and materials I need to do my project in this corona situation. Okay. So a little spiel, okay, not too much text, but a little spiel about your understanding of the situation with resources first is really good. Then it comes down to understanding, all right, we've gone through and identified resources. If you're coming up with a table, make sure you get some images in there, okay? No images look really bland. And look, we don't really want to just read stuff. You know, people, markers, teachers, we like pictures. And, you know, that old picture tells a story, or picture is worth 1,000 words. It's true. Use images to represent what it is you're talking about. So if we're making a table, we can identify stuff with listing it and a picture and an image. But when it comes down to justifying those resources, well, that's when we need to understand what justify means. Maybe use the word prove it or tell me why, right? So justify is about telling us how important that resource is or why it was so important or maybe not so important. So I've got one sample here that's a really simple and easy to read one. This is from Sienna Hawksley, that's possibly a famous musician about now, okay? She created a song and a brand for her project. Now you can see on this one, she's got it split up into human resources on this page here, financial resources up here, and physical resources down there in 3 columns. And it's laid out really nicely. She's got listing the resource, teachers. There's a photo of me drinking Zara's tea brand that she did. Then she's got the how, where, and why this resource will be used. Okay, that's good to know. And the big part is the eval, justifying it. They really help me keep motivated and on track with my practical portfolio work. So the teacher rating here, hey, we've got a 3 stars. I remember Polly rated teachers really poorly, I guess, because she didn't like my teaching too well. But funnily enough, you got 85 in your design tech mark, and that was your best mark. Shout out to Polly, well done. Even though you rated me really low on the star rating, but we know you really meant to give me a 5. But you can see through here, as Sienna's gone through, she's actually got a star rating. 4 stars, 5 stars for industry experts and mentors. They probably know how to help her with film, music, video more than I do. Okay, so justifying with the use of visual cues and graphics really helps. What I like about Sienna's ones here is it's really clear, not too much text, and it really does justify each of these resources and why they're so important. Okay, I think that one's pretty straightforward, and I'll keep this clip pretty short. Only 7 and a bit minutes right now, and I hope it helps. Hit me up if you've got any cues. See ya.